scales, or when C is no longer your tonic. To this point, we've lined up our scale degree pattern to start with C, so that the half steps that naturally occur between E and F and B and C lined up with the half steps between scale degree 3 and 4 and 7 and 1 in our scale. But what if we wanted to start as F, as scale degree 1? Well, then we'd run into a problem immediately, because the distance between A and B, or what should be between 3 and 4, is not a half step, it's a whole step. But we should have a half step between scale degree 3 and scale degree 4. Or what if we started on G? Well, now we've got a whole step between F and G, but we should have a half step between scale degree 7 and scale degree 1. So we'll need to move notes a half step higher or lower to retain the whole half pattern. So starting on F will require B flat instead of B natural, because now you have a half step between A and B flat, just like you're supposed to, have a half step between scale degree 3 and scale degree 4. Now if we start on G, we can get a half step between F and G by making it an F sharp instead of regular F. And so then we've got our requisite half step between scale degree 7 and scale degree 1. Now before we move on, let's look at some vocabulary terms. First off, the chromatic octave is the octave filled in with half steps. So instead of just going C to D, you show that there's a space between C and D and call it C sharp or D flat. The chromatic scale is a scale made up of only half steps. So going from C to C sharp to D sharp to E and so on is a chromatic scale. Enharmonic pitches are the same absolute pitch named with different letters and accidentals. So C sharp and D flat are the same note with just different names. That slot in between C and D, you can either call it C sharp or D flat. And then this idea of the key of blank, where your tonic scale degree 1 begins on some pitch. So we've been talking about the key of C this whole time because all of our scale degree 1s have aligned with C. But the key of F would happen when F is tonic, when F starts your scale. The key of G is when G is tonic. And we can take our whole half pattern from the key of C and place it inside the chromatic scale to show how between C and D traverses 2 slots on the chromatic scale. We can also align these pitches and scale degrees with our mod 12 clock to say that scale degree 1, let's say, could happen at 0, and then you go up a whole step to scale degree 2 at 2 o'clock, and then you go up a whole step to 4 o'clock, and then a half step to 5 o'clock, and so on. And we can align our scale degrees with the chromatic scale in various ways, and if we do it like this, with scale degree 1 aligning with C, you get your C major scale. But if you align it like this, then your scale degree 1 starts on F. And aligning it like this aligns scale degree 1 with G and gives you your G key. But how do you actually figure these scales out? Well, the first rule of keys is that you need to use all the letters in your new scale, A through G, all of the letters. And of course they'll be reordered, but C major starts with C, F major starts with F, but you have to move through all of the letters. And then you add sharps and flats where appropriate. The second rule of keys is that you can't have both sharps and flats in the same key. So this alignment gives us our C major scale, where the yellow circles align with C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. But then we moved it to align scale degree 1 with F. And now we would have F, G, A, B flat, C, D, and E. But why is it B flat and not A sharp? Well, because we can't have both A and A sharp in the same scale. Because you can't repeat that letter, and if we used A sharp, we wouldn't have any B in the scale. We would have F, G, A sharp, C, D, E, we wouldn't have any B's in that scale. So we need to use all of the letters. And you can't repeat any letters. Similarly, the G major scale would have G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and then back to G. And why is it F sharp and not G flat? Well, because we can't have both G flat and G in the same scale. So the D major scale. Let's figure this out. First, you would write out your letters in order. D, E, F, G, A, B, C, back to D. So you know that you have all of your letters. And then you figure out what sharps or flats you need to bring to the party. So if you write out D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and then you looked down and saw, all right, that scale degree 1 aligns with regular old D. Scale degree 2 aligns with regular old E, but scale degree 3 does not align with regular old F. It aligns with F sharp. So F sharp has to be brought to the party. Now, similarly, if you look where scale degree 7 is, scale degree 7 aligns with C sharp, not with regular old C. And so your scale would be D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp,